You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, me and Pat are going to discuss the Bulls under the most pressure to succeed heading into the 2024-25 season. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers get $5 and can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Pat, we're here today to talk about the Bulls under the most pressure to succeed in the 2024-25 season. Do you want to take it away first?
Yeah, let's start it off. The easy one here, Zach LaVine. Pressure, whether he's on the team or not, but pressure to get your market back into the right direction, which means not only do you have to play well, but you have to be able to stay healthy and on the court. You have to be a contributor. In theory, that would mean contributing to a winning Chicago Bulls team, because the conversation that we've had all offseason is not just the fact that Zach LaVine has struggled to stay healthy over the last couple of seasons. It's not just the fact that Zach LaVine, hasn't performed as well as you would hope over the last couple of seasons. It's also the fact that even when he plays well, it doesn't contribute to winning. Remember, Zach LaVine has a 50-point game that ends in a loss to the Detroit Pistons, right? So you're trying to build up a lot of different stock around you in different areas. And so I think that the most pressure on him right now, most pressure on a Bull right now, is on Zach LaVine, because whether he wants to be a Bull or not, you're forced to be a Bull if nobody else wants you. That's just how, unfortunately, the contracts work right now. And realistically speaking, if you find a way to fit in and show that, yeah, maybe I'm not a star, maybe I'm a little bit below a star, whatever it is, right? But that I can still have an impact on a team, that I can still make a difference on a team, that I can fit into a role on a team, then I think that people would be more inclined to possibly trade for a guy like Zach LaVine, especially at the coming deadline.
I agree with you on that part. Like, all your points are solid there. Like, Zach LaVine is under a lot of pressure, and I think it could be a mix. It's not. I just hope that Zach doesn't take it as I need to go up and put 30 every night, because that's not necessarily, like, everybody knows you can score, right? That's not what you need to do. It's about refining your game and showing that you can be a player that can contribute to winning and staying healthy. And so, yeah, Zach LaVine is under a lot of pressure because he's been talked about this whole offseason like he's trash. I mean, you've talked about it. Zach LaVine is not a trash player at all. He's a flawed player, but he's not a trash player at all. So
no, he's not trash. And I think that's kind of what you got to show. Even some of the flaws, right? You talk about him being a flawed player, possibly, hey, have you improved on your knowing when to pass, on your ability to pass, which I think he's a solid passer, but there are those times where the ball just randomly goes off of a leg. The fact that we can say those times when the ball randomly goes off a leg tells you how often it realistically happens, right? Like, have you improved on your fourth quarter IQ moments, right? Like, that's been a knock on Zach LaVine as well. So I think that, if you're gonna improve on the little things most, I think that would make Zach LaVine much more appealing.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. The player that I'll start off with, I agree with you on Zach, is I think Josh Giddey is under pressure. Now, I don't think it's as under much pressure as like a Zach LaVine, but I think you have to look at Josh Giddey and say that he's on a new team. He's immediately becoming a restricted free agent at the end of the season, unless the Bulls do lock him into an extension prior to the season. But he is under pressure to kind of show and prove that it is because they took the ball out of your hands in OKC, that it wasn't because you're this trash player and that you can't fit in, you can't play with other players. And I think that Josh Giddey has, and I think when you've seen the way that he played over in the Olympics today, in both the qualifiers and the actual Olympics, like, I think he understands that it is time for him to show how you can lead an offense. Even in this time when he did have the ball in his hands in OKC, I mean, let's be clear, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander still played most of that season and averaged over 30. So, like, this is going to be a time where, all right, how can you make the people better around you? This is a roster that I won't say is built perfectly for your skill set, not yet, but this is a roster that you can thrive on. And it's not necessarily about you all of a sudden becoming a 20-point per game scorer. yeah, we would love to see the 16 to 17 you scored in 2022-23, but if you can make the players on this roster look better, whether right or wrong, if Patrick Williams all of a sudden looks better with Josh Giddey out there on the floor, Josh Giddey's going to get a large part of the credit for that. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on Giddey to see how he can improve the players around him with his playmaking.
See, the question I would have, though, is it more pressure than trying to make an impact in a position that you're not used to playing? I would almost say that he's got less pressure on him here in Chicago because literally already the Bulls have basically said, not only are you the starting point guard, the ball's in your hands, you get to run the show. Everything that you asked for, you're going to get. So
yeah, but I think that brings its own pressure because like you're getting everything you ask for. And if you don't have a good season, it is you.
True. Yeah. I mean, I agree in the sense of like if he fails, there's a lot of pressure that's around him. But like, I do think that it to me, when I look at Giddey, I would say it's probably more of a pressure relief to be like, at least here's my thing. If I fail, let me fail at something I know I'm good at. Don't make me fail because you're like, hey, we know you can't shoot threes in the slightest, and
but we need you to catch and shoot threes.
But we need you to become a catch and shoot player in the corner. So,
yeah.
You started this off with, I can't do it. Wait a minute, now I got to learn to do it. So I think that does make, to me, I think that would make things a little easier for him. But I can understand why you would say there'd be pressure on him, especially coming to a city like Chicago. I think the other obvious one, though, I mean, listen, P. Will. It's put up or shut up time in my mind. They've given you the bread. They've given you the bag. I guess that version of the bag, still a lot of money, but not a crazy bag. And they've let you know basically what they think you're worth. You at this point now are being paid like a solid role player. You are not getting the attention of a 4th overall pick. What are you going to do with that attention now being taken off of you? I think the pressure for Patrick Williams is still there. I think that there's still this expectation of him doing more. It doesn't have to be 25, 8-8 now. Like at that point, I think most people have let that, pipe dream go. They've let the Kawhi comparisons go by the wayside. But
some people, except TBO. I don't know if you see him in the comments. TBO be tripping, bro.
There's some people that just you can't help the helpless. You know what I mean? You can't help the hopeless. You know what I mean? But like to me, the pressure around Patrick Williams is, can you prove that you still belong on this team and still should be a major part of this team and not just a dude who appears in games off of the bench? Because it really feels like we're heading towards P. Will just becoming one of those. It feels like we're heading towards P. Will becoming a Chris Duhon.
Wow.
It just does. It's just like, everybody remember.
Is that where we are right now?
Bro, like everybody remembers Chris Duhon played for the Bulls. You don't actually remember anything that he did, but you do remember that he played for the Bulls.
Oh, no. I do remember that there was a game he gave Steve Nash that work. That's all I remember, though. I just remember that one game because I think it was Nash MVP season. He didn't score a bunch on him, but I'm talking about defensively. Like he caused Nash to have a bunch of turnovers that game. Like it's one game. I don't even remember how long Chris Duhon was there, but I remember that one game.
Right, that's not good. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I don't know how to tell you this.
No, I know. I didn't say that to disagree with your point. I'm just saying, it's just funny because I do remember one distinctive thing about Chris Duhon, him giving Steve Nash work one game. Like
I just think to me, right, when you look at the expectations that the young man came in with, which probably were unrealistic expectations, seeing who he was at FSU and stuff like that, but like the expectations he came in with, kind of taking the ball out of his hands for those expectations to either be achieved or not. Like this team is about to be set up for you to do more because they're looking for the younger players to do more. I would assume that means that you're probably going to give P. Will more opportunity. Are you going to actually take advantage of those opportunities? That's the real question that I have around P. Will. That's why I think there's a ton of pressure on him coming into this season.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like there is pressure on P. Will. I've said that before over on Central, and people are like, "Well, he got his deal. Why is there pressure?" I'm like, you think just because you get a deal, like that's how I can tell y'all only think about money. There's big pressure after getting your money as well. Like, and P. Will is under a ton of pressure, I think, this season, and I think as well, like. because not all the excuses have not been removed, but some, like, you don't have DeMar DeRozan here anymore to say that he's in P. Will's way. Now, you still got Zach, you still got Kobe, but listen, there are going to be players on the team that I don't think anybody thought that P. Will all of a sudden move to the second highest scorer on the team or anything, but you're going to be getting more opportunities. What do you make of those opportunities is going to be one of the biggest questions for P. Will heading into next season. But heading into the next segment, we're going to continue talking about Bulls players, front office, even some coaches that still have a lot of pressure on them as well. But before we get into that, I got to talk to you guys about a message from one of our sponsors, and that is eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items and exclusions do apply. The eBay Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers. Hilarious. All right, Pat, we're going to continue talking about players and coaches under the most pressure. And I'm going to say this, and I don't know, like, there's varying degrees. So I'm not saying that it's like going to be make or break or this guy's at a chance to like be off the team or anything. But I do think Kobe White is under tremendous pressure as well. You have the season that you have where a lot of people do believe that you were the most improved player of the year last year, regardless of who ended up winning that award. You started coming down to reality after your injury, which it was a nasty injury for Kobe White. I remember when we saw that injury, you thought that Kobe was going to miss some time. He ended up missing what was only like 2 or 3 games, something like that.
He didn't miss much time.
Yeah, he didn't miss much time. But so, you know, his performance started falling off towards the end of that season. So I think people are going to look at Kobe White to kind of start off his season where it was at its height last year and see if he can maintain that over. Because listen, the one thing that people are going to be ready to label it is that you're the next John Salmons if you have this 120 point per game season and then you fall off a cliff after that. What do you feel about Kobe White and the pressure that he's under next season?
I think the pressure on Kobe White is probably the most on the team outside of Zach LaVine, because realistically, Zach LaVine's is to live up to something that gets you off of the team, if we're being 100% honest. Kobe White's pressure is to live up to being the new face of this franchise. I think that he's probably got the most pressure on him out of anybody on the team, because when you have that level of improvement, people are going to be looking to you to have that next step. Guess what? We saw Larry Markkinen have a similar step like that, right? We usually, when you get that most improved look, there is that next step that comes with it. Not to say that it's going to be something crazy, but I think that the Bulls, and I think that most Bulls fans, and I think that this front office is heading into the 24-25 season saying Kobe White is the face of this franchise. Now, can he live up to it? No matter what other pieces you add to it, right? Even the move to go out and get Josh Giddey, you think about that realistically. The move to get Giddey, while yes, Kobe White played point guard last season, Kobe White was about 5 assists a game last year. So you're really looking for somebody who can up the passing to the entire team. The thing that we were looking to Kobe to be last season was a scorer. Bringing in Josh Giddey allows Kobe to be a scorer. This is literally a young, you're literally doing a younger version of what you did for Zach LaVine.
In a lot of ways, yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, absolutely. And the thing that I keep pointing out, the difference is that they went out and got DeMar DeRozan, who was going to handle the ball a lot, especially in the half court. He was a solid passer, but he was doing that at the 3 position. You go out and get somebody who is going to do a lot of the same things, not necessarily not being anywhere close to the closer that DeMar is, but as far as the ball handling portion, the playmaking portion, and he's better at those things. Josh Giddey is a better playmaker than DeMar DeRozan. There's no questions about that. So you've now kind of made it make more sense with a similar type. And so we just got to see what's going to come about it. But I agree with you. A lot of people are looking at this like, well, you're taking the ball out of Kobe's hands. How are you going to do that? You're not rewarding him from the season. And I look at it and say, theoretically, I'm not saying it's going to work out for sure, but theoretically, I think they're trying to maximize Kobe in doing what he did best last year, and that was score the basketball. So, we'll see.
And I think that's, you know, if you can get Kobe White to take that next scoring step, you got your star. You got your young star. You've got your young guy that you're going to have to pay in probably a year, right? Like, and you got him on a great price for the season. I think here's the thing as well. If Kobe takes that step, that can change your season outlook. Now, yeah, you still got some defensive inefficiencies, but if you start off a season and maybe you're hovering around 500, a little bit over 500, but Kobe White is developing in the right direction, that changes a lot of the moves that you're looking to make. That changes what you're trying to get back in a Zach LaVine trade, because now you're willing to take back, different kinds of players because you're trying to add to this team. That is how that would be AK's dream scenario right now. Josh Giddey's working out, Ayo Dosunmu's working out, Kobe White is working out, and you're just sitting there continuing to build on those things, and hopefully you get something out of P. Will in there as well. But I think that the pressure on Kobe is, hey, this season is on your shoulders. And if this season is going to change, if this season is going to move in the right direction, if this season is going to not be what most people think it is going to be, a losing season, it has to be because of who you are as a player and what you're able to accomplish on the court. And I think that that's the thing for me that gives Kobe White, probably as far as Bulls long-term on this team, the most pressure out of anybody coming.
Oh, long-term, absolutely. I'd say even more than Josh Giddey, even more than P. Will. Absolutely. And that comes with the territory of being one of the best players on the team last year. Like, you were the guy for a large part of that season. And so that comes with its own pressure. Let's catch up on some of the guys on the back end before we start talking about other things, coaches and stuff. How much pressure do you think the combination of guys like Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, you can even throw in Ayo Dosunmu, because Ayo Dosunmu finished that season extremely strong. What do you think the pressure is for those guys?
I think it's different. I think for Ayo, the pressure is to live up to being AC. I think that he has the ability to do that.
Okay.
He's a really good defender. He can shoot the basketball as well. Maybe not as good of a 1 through 5 defender, right? But Ayo, with his length, can definitely do a lot of things, and he'll make adjustments to his body and his habits based on what the Bulls are asking of him. So I think that I don't even know if I'd call that pressure. I would say more responsibility, but I don't know if that comes with a ton of pressure. I think guys like Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips, you got career pressure on the line. I get it that you're young and the Bulls have taken a chance on you and they're waiting for, you to become this next level. But, like, let's be real. If you don't see it out of Dalen Terry or Julian Phillips heading into next season, how long are you going to keep? And assuming, right, that you're building something with the starting guys, you're going to have to build out a bench. You're going to have guys that you can count on the bench. Can you become that guy that we can count on the bench outside of just being a energy guy with some scrappy defense? Can you do something that is a specific skill set right away? Because for me, I like Dalen Terry. I like the energy. I like that he dances. I like that he has fun when he's playing basketball. But Dalen Terry doesn't really do anything. Like, there's nothing that I like. If I'm in a pinch, I'm like, put Dalen Terry in. I feel the same way about Julian Phillips. Now Julian Phillips has a little bit more leeway because he was only drafted last season. So you're assuming that there's going to be some level of growth, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that there's this open opportunity for almost everybody on the Chicago Bulls to say, if I perform well at this, I know I'm going to have rotational minutes because they're going to call on me for this moment. And I just want to see those guys take that mantle.
All right. Fair enough. Let's flip it. How much pressure is Billy Donovan in going into next season?
Ooh, none. Is there any pressure on Billy? Like, I mean, listen, what are they going to fire him?
I mean, I at this point, I won't say that it's out. I'll say that it may be more likely than any other time at all, but I still don't think it's very likely. It's more likely than what has been in the past, but still not very likely.
I don't think that Billy's under a ton of pressure because
they love Billy Donovan, man.
They love Billy.
They really love Billy.
He's good boy Billy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, when they asked Jerry about it, it's like, what are your thoughts on Billy Donovan? Oh, he's a good boy.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I the only way that I say that it comes under pressure is if, like, everybody looks like crap next year, and they're just like, well, it can't be the whole roster, Billy. Like, it can't be the whole roster. It's got to be you. But other than that, I think Billy's job is pretty safe. Now, should it be safe or not? That's a different question. Maybe we'll cover that on a different topic. But I think, and then lastly, to round this out, I'll just say this. Do you know who's under no pressure? The front office is under no pressure.
Nope.
None. They're only 5 years into it. They're getting at least a decade. They're not under any pressure at all.
5 years into it, already been to a playoff. We've sold out pretty much the last 2 seasons. Yeah, I mean, there's no pressure there. Who's worried about it?
The fans. Now, are they under pressures from the fandom? Yes, the fan base maybe, but again,
yeah, but that pressure's not
from
real.
Jerry. Yeah, it's not real pressure.
You know what I mean? Like that. Like I get it, right? Like
I don't even know if AK even uses Twitter. Like he may not even use.
That's the same amount of pressure as the guys that go to games and say sell the team.
Oh yeah, facts.
You know he's not selling the team.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? No, sell the team.
People still on the sell the team stuff. It's like after the 1901 project, if y'all think they're selling the team ever, it's not happening.
Now, and I'll tease this now, and we'll start off the next segment with it, and then we'll get back into some Bulls basketball. I do have a conspiracy theory on why Jerry Reinsdorf is doing things the way he's doing. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Coming up next. But first, we got to tell you guys all about FanDuel. Listen, you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel. It is America's #1 sports book. And, well, we have something a little bit different to offer you now. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet a $5 bet and get 3 weeks of a free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. That's not a bad deal.
That's great.
3 weeks of
That's
NFL
really
Sunday Ticket. Don't they sell Sunday Ticket about a week now too?
Yes.
Like you can buy it by the week. That's not a bad deal, bro, at all. What is that? That's $1.50 a week, basically, or $1.75 a week. What's that bad?
Stop trying to do math. It's not just
my bad. Then when you get YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sports book.
All right, Pat, before we get into the last topic that we had planned, we do have a standing question here that we didn't ask.
Oh, what's up?
Who lives up to the pressure next year? If you had to pick any Bulls player, coach, whatever, who lives up to the pressure next year?
Oof. Give me Kobe. I'll take Kobe right now. I think the pressure is like go from scoring 19 points a game to we're probably going to give you a couple of more shots, go out there and average 23 to 25 points a game. Yeah, I mean, so I think Kobe's gonna have an ability to live up to the pressure. My conspiracy theory. I think Jerry Reinsdorf is trying to major league this thing. I think that he's trying to lose so much now, probably more with the White Sox and the Bulls, but I think he's trying to lose so much because I think if you have 10 years of bad attendance, then like the league comes together and they're like, hey, like we got to do something about this. Are you going to compete or not? And we're almost right there. I think he's trying to lose so much that.
You said 10 years of bad attendance?
10 years of bad attendance, yeah. Like if your team just doesn't perform well.
Oh, I was going to say we've topped in the league of attendance. You mean
that's why I said more for the White Sox than the Bulls.
Okay,
I think he's trying to do like what they did in Major League, where it was like,
got you.
And then we'll just move the team because we've sucked for so long and nobody comes to the games anymore.
I mean, weirder things have happened.
Just make my White Sox good again, or leave. I'm fine with leaving as well. I'm not
fine
going
with
to
leaving too.
Like if it's sad to say, I literally was like, yo, if they left, I wouldn't follow them. Like I would not be a Nashville White Sox.
Would we become Cubs fans then?
No, I'd be a Brewers fan.
I'd probably switch to the Cardinals too.
Or I'd go. Yeah, I mean, like I'd probably go. Maybe I'd cop out. I ain't gonna lie to you. Maybe I'd go Yankees.
Oh, see, yeah, no, I can't do that. I may go Cardinals only because, of course, I worked at that stadium for so long and lived in St. Louis. Because I'm not going Cubs, bro. I can't see myself doing it.
And see, here's the thing. I want to be the part that's tough is I want to be a part of a fan base that's good. You know what I mean? That's the other thing too. I don't just want to have a good team. I want to have a good fan base with it. So like if they left, I'd just be like, all right, well, you know, like the Brewers solid fan base, Yankees fans are everywhere. Maybe Boston. Do I do the Red Sox? Maybe.
I can't see you. I can't see you a Red Sox fan.
I can't either. It'd be gross.
You're saying all this now and watch you follow the team because watch them do the same thing the Rams did when they left St. Louis. All of a sudden now they start just winning and becoming a contender as soon as they leave Chicago.
I mean, they invested money into the team the second that they left Chicago. Yeah. So I'd probably become a Nashville White Sox fan. That was tough.
not too far of a drive. You can still go to a game or two a year. Like it's yeah.
That would suck.
Anyway, with that said, to get back on Bulls topics, man. Last topic before we get out of here today, who will be the focal point of the offense? There's a lot of people saying it still should be Zach LaVine. Could it be Kobe White? Is it kind of Josh Giddey because the offense is built around his playmaking? Who do you think is going to be that focal point of the offense next season?
I think when you talk about a focal point of the offense, you got to look at who's going to get defended the most. And I do think that's going to be Kobe White because of the jump that he took, because of how much I think it's going to be the leadership role that he's going to take on. I think that Zach LaVine is a part of that as well. But I think when you talk about the focal point of your offense, right, the focal point is the guy that the other team is focusing most in on. And to me, that's not Josh Giddey just because he has the ball in his hands. People aren't worried about stopping Josh Giddey from scoring. They're worried about stopping Josh Giddey from putting people in a position to score. And so I think that your focal point is probably those guys that are going to be put in position. And to me, that's easily Kobe White. And I think that's why they brought in Josh Giddey.
Yeah. I think it's Kobe White as well. I think Kobe White is going to, because, I mean, we've heard it. Billy Donovan and AK have both said the same thing. Whatever changes that they've made, they didn't want it to change Kobe's role. And I think that shows that they are invested in seeing what Kobe, because basically they have to. They got 2 more years left on this deal, and it's a reasonable deal before you theoretically got to pay him big money. So I think you have to kind of make him the focal point to really see how does he step up in those moments? How does he step up as being the guy? And then it makes you a little bit more comfortable in the pending decision that you're going to have to make. So I think that's a big part of it. And I would not be surprised as we do move on from Vooch, as we do move on from LaVine, whatever happens, is that we start seeing more and more pieces that kind of make sense with Kobe White.
No, for sure. I think that's to me, if I was going to do anything, or if I was going to focus on anyone moving forward, you have to focus on the guys that have shown you something at this point.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, one of those guys is Zach LaVine, and the other guy is Kobe White. The other guys are question marks, right? Nikola Vucevic is just solid. He is what he is. He's
you know what Vooch is gonna
you know,
like, you don't have to necessarily focal point him, but you know exactly he's gonna get 17, 18, and 11.
Yeah, you know what he's gonna bring to the game. So you're talking about, okay, what do I have that we can build on? I think you can build on Ayo Dosunmu. I think you can build on Kobe White. And those are the guys that you focus in most on, because those are the guys that I think are going to be a part of the long-term success of your team, if your team does find long-term success.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Anything left, Pat, before we get up out of here?
Man, I'm ready to get up out of here, my guy. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We got Bears game tonight, so Bears.
Absolutely, Bears tonight. Oh, by the way, started working on getting GTD over to Spotify playlist. We're working on it.
Oh, the playlist. The playlist. Oh. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
Playlist, man. So
you know what it is. Sorry.
Yeah. But you guys can follow me at CEO Haize, man. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, this has been Locked On Bulls. We out here, y'all. Peace.
So is your goal still to contribute to tons of teen pregnancy, or are you going for an older audience?
Older audience at this point. Older audience. Maybe even geriatric pregnancies. Maybe
wow. Hold on. Oh, some earthy kid. Geriatric purpose.